All right. Board repair. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to get started with yet another MacBook board repair. Today we have an A1989 board that's not turning on and is not charging. Let's see if we can figure out why this board is not charging and fix it and make it work again. The first thing that I like to do with any of these machines is see how much power it's taking by using my trusty, handy-dandy USB-C amp meter. I'm going to plug this thing in, and we're going to see what we get on the screen. So I'm going to have my microscope camera on over here. I'm going to plug this in. You can get this on store.rossmangroup.com. Only God knows when it'll ship, since we still have not finished fully moving. So I doubt Dan's had time to check the orders since like Thursday. Did I say that out loud? Anyway, here it's taking 500 milliamps at 5 volts. So I've never seen it with that high an amp usage. That typically tends to mean a short circuit to ground. So I'm just going to take a look around the board and see if we can find anything that looks like a short circuit, because I don't have my thermal camera. My thermal camera is in a box somewhere, and I don't know where that is. So let's take a look around the board and see if we find anything that looks wrong before we drive ourselves crazy opening up another 300 effing boxes to look for the short camera or anything like that. So we look around the board and I don't see anything funny yet. But what? Huh? Is that a crack in the chip? Is that a... what is that? Okay, that's interesting. So that's one of the USB-C port controllers, and... ouch! Something tells me that may not be good. Now the problem is that that's underfilled, and the underfilled chips are typically more difficult to remove than the other ones. So... alright, so we're just going to have to try and cut this thing out of here. Underfill is no fun. It's no joke and no fun. Slicey, slicey, slicey. I don't know what the board traces look like underneath. So when I push that down on the knife, I'm pushing against the chip, not down onto the board in that section. So I'm not destroying any traces. The traces will be just fine. Alright, pushing on the chip. But it's kind of hard because you got this stupid sleep sensor in the way over here. Sleep sensor makes this a bit difficult. Oh well. Off to the races with some heat, shall we? Put another board onto that to use as my mat. Got my heat. All I need now is some sort of shielding for the piece under it. You have a penny? A dime? A nickel? A quarter? Huh? You just handed me thermal paste. You just handed me something covered in thermal paste. Oh my god. You son of a fucking... ugh. Okay. So I'm just going to put that over the chip under it. And let's remove this CD3215 now, shall we?
I want to see the chip kind of rock back and forth before I lift it up. Now this is what makes underfilled boards a pain in the ass. You see that? Do you see this? You see all this crap? This junk? Ugh. That's not going to be fun to deal with. Alright, that was on the safer side. The pads were close to ripping on the CD3215 because I saw what looked like a ripped pad there, but it was on the CD3215 section because it was high rather than lower. So this is Paul is not gonna like finishing that repair. Hey, I'm gonna finish this repair. It's gonna be just fine. Just you wait, watch and see. You just got to know when you're pushing on underfill versus pushing on board. Let this little molten ball of solder do its thing. The molten ball of solder is not going to damage the pads, but it is going to wreak havoc on that underfill. And that's what I'm looking for it to do. I want that underfill to feel like it's in pain. Because the more damage the underfill is, the easier it's going to be for me to just get that stuff off without having to scrape really hard. And scraping hard is what's going to cause pads to come off, which is what I'm trying to avoid. So I don't mind heating that stuff up for a long time. You have cutter, David? I need to get myself a 175M. Sorry, David. Thank you. No thermal paste on this. Now, the wick is actually pretty good at destroying this underfill stuff, because it's essentially, it's a bunch of burning sandpapery-like metal. So it's going to suck up the solder, but it's also going to really screw up the underfill, which is fine by me. I'm going over it very mildly now. Just going to take that underfill and sodomize it. Okay. Why is it hard to source polarizers for retina displays? Because that laptop has not been made for 4 years. Since it's not been made for 4 years, they haven't been produced for 4 years. I used to be able to buy those things for $75 a piece from an LG distributor in Taipei. But now you can't because LG is not making them. LG does not make them anymore because that machine is not made anymore. So there's no need for them to produce them. So anything that you get is going to be leftover stock that somebody, like found and or it's like inventory that an employee forgot was in the bottom of the box and shit like that. And that inventory is very expensive. But that's the problem. that occurs when you use non-standard parts that no other company is using is once they stop making the part for you, once you stop making that one specific model of machine, you'll never find that part again. So you got to stock up on it, and if you don't stock up on it, then you're screwed. Or you could be like me and stock up on it and still be screwed because Apple makes it so that when you update the operating system to a new version, it no longer recognizes those screens because they don't have the proper EDID codes on them that you cannot program over over DisplayPort the way you could over LVDS. Well, I did see a pad that tried to run away, but we're not going to let that happen here. Nope, you don't get to run away and leave that Mac. You get to stay right on this piece of shit Mac. I know. Never mind. All right, the pad won. Such is life. So there's one pad that I'm going to have to run a jumper for. Okay. The X-Acto is going to go over this underfill that's been destroyed with ease. Minor scraping. What a mess. Indeed, this is a big mess. Maybe. Yeah, those pads may not be connected to anything, but for the pads that are ripped in the middle, those may not be connected to things. But I don't really care much about the pads that are not connected. Not connected pads don't really matter. Not connected, so I don't care about those two. This one is that's for a debug port. I don't give a shit about a debug port, but I'll put that back anyway just to be nice. And this one over here is, yeah, that's really important. Okay, got to keep that. All right, so back to the microscope and back to cleaning. Junky underfill. Did I just knock a little cap off? The end of a cap? Yeah, we'll see. You know, as annoying as the underfill is, usually when the chip has a hole in it, like this one did, it winds up not really being in much good condition because it leaves a hole in the board. So as annoying as this is, I'm kind of happy that there's not a hole in the board, and I do wonder if the underfill managed to protect it from whatever explosion happens around the chip area. Oh, son of a, there's another one up there. I don't know what you mean, Felix. Okay, we're just going to tin all these pads here. Is that not glue? No, no glue here. This underfill kind of seems like glue. Okay, now we're gonna put some little jumper wire cables. Little mini, not cables. If it's thick enough to be a cable, it's not gonna be a good jumper. It's gonna take some, I forget this is 44 or 46 gauge jumper wire here. We're gonna take little bits and pieces of jumper wire and put it on these points. The first thing I gotta do is scrape that away. We're gonna scrape, scrape, scrape. We're gonna scrape, scrape, scrape. Scrape that probe point. Some very mild scraping of that little probe point. Just like that. And then we're gonna fill it up with some solder. Solder. Soldure. Take these garbage tweezers that I have at my desk. If they were good tweezers, I wouldn't deserve them. And we're gonna These tweezers legitimately don't grab anything. These are less than nothing. I'd rather use my fingers than these pieces of crap. Alright, do we have a set of tweezers that kind of tweezes? Maybe tweezes? Yeah, these are genuine garbage. Come on, give me some real tweezers here. See you later, Sonny. Sorry about that. Where are the real tweezers? Tweezers, tweezers, tweezers.
Zircon encrusted tweezers. 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 Maybe these will do. Alright, I can't even see that probe point anymore. I should probably run some hot air over this soon. Because this is becoming an invisible pile of mud. Alright, let's get rid of the puddle of mud. All right. For fuck's sake, that's invisible. I still don't know where my alcohol dispenser that used to be on my desk went. Before I moved, I had alcohol dispenser. Now I don't have alcohol dispenser. I bet David stole my alcohol dispenser. He probably put thermal paste on it. Okay, that's done. Put a little bit of solder over here. Okay. That's it. Next is this one. Now luckily these are all outer balls, so I don't think I need to really put much effort into greening them. If these were inner balls that had this problem, I'd probably have to put green crap and wait for that to dry. I may wind up doing that anyway.
No. Okay, what's going on over here? This is a really confusing looking piece. Do we have two pads touching each other or something, or? Oh, I see what's going on here. Those two pads are soldered onto one another. Wow. Okay, let's see. I think I can save this. Oh yeah. Pad restoration. Uh-oh. Oh, for fuck's sake. There's alcohol in there. Burn, burn, evaporate alcohol. Uh-oh. That's too big a gob. Okay. Now I can start greening it. All right, everybody. I don't want you to look at the screen because this is UV light. And if you look directly at UV light, it's not good for your eyes. So if you look at this, just so you're aware, it could severely damage your eyes because then you'll be looking at UV light. So I would highly suggest that you look away right now. If you look at UV light, it will be very bad for you. I'm trying to save you all from getting UV light directly in your eyes. Yeah, I guess there's no saving you guys who decided to keep looking. Yeah, you're kind of fucked now. Good luck seeing again. All right. Uh-oh. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Get back there, you little piece of shit. All right. There we go. Okay. New chip. Actually, shit, I only have one left here until I gotta unpack. Okay, I don't have it matte yet, so I'm just gonna solder on top of another board, CPU. That's a great heatsink right there. Okay, we take the chip, CD3215C00. By the way, the newer MacBooks use a CD3217, and guess who can't get that chip when it breaks? Yep, another one of those chips that I believe has one of those BS exclusivity agreements where I can't ask Texas Instruments for the chip that allows your MacBook to charge. What a great company, right? And you saw this machine when I opened it. It's not like this machine had water damage. There was no water damage, no physical damage. The chip just kind of exploded, you know? Because every now and then your MacBook just got to blow a load and explode on you. Rapid cool technology. It looks like we may have a missing component next to it, but let's see, is that an important one or not? That is a resistor to ground. That's, who cares about that? What's your code on resoldering a cap on a Titan X card? I don't usually do that because I don't really know the value of the capacitor, because I don't have a schematic to it, so there's no way for me to really troubleshoot it. So who cares about a ground resistor? Indeed, pull-down resistors are useless. I could get. I don't care about no.
Pull down resistor.
Probably for some. It's like the circuitry for using the infrared remote on an A1278 MacBook. It's like nobody uses it, nobody cares. All right, so let's see what we get over here. So I get 180 milliamps now when I plug it into a USB-C charger, and now I get 500 milliamps being used, and it's at 20 volts. So that's pretty cool. Might as well attach it to a screen just to show all of you haters that I get a screen and not just a fan spin. Because I know the haters be growing out there. I haven't been fixing boards in a while. I've been hearing rumblings. Lewis forgot how to fix boards. Lewis doesn't actually fix boards. The person that does all the work while Lewis does the voiceover quit, so that's why Lewis stopped doing his board repair videos. Yeah, I've got some funny ones, though. For all you haters out there that want to see that it still works. For all you haters, we're going to plug it in. I've got some interesting ones. I've gotten people saying that he had stopped doing videos because he forgot how to fix boards. The guy that he hired that actually fixes the boards while he just does the overdub afterwards must have quit. So that's why we don't have any more board repair videos. For all you haters out there, the haters, this is for you. You'll get to see that this thing boots and gets an image on the screen. Has she earned a desk? Yeah, this looks like one employee may or may not have a desk. When everybody else has a desk. You know, it's one of those things that can cause jealousy. I feel, you know, everybody else got a desk and you're just kind of sitting there with a chair but no desk. Yeah, could have done a little bit more planning. What you gonna do? I'm sure it'll be fine. She's fine. Get her a folding table. Well, they don't call it, they call it a laptop, not a desktop for a reason. You don't put a laptop on your desk. All right, so 20 volts. Oh, no. Okay, here we go. I saw 60 milliamps. That always scares me. I don't like 60 milliamps on T2 chip MacBook. All right, as you can all see, we have an Apple logo, and it's booting. Ha! So here we had a problem where it was stuck at 5 volts, and it appeared to be taking 500 milliamps, which is insane. The idea that this would be taking 500 milliamps when it's stuck at 5 volts before any of the boot process has started is indicative of only one thing and one thing only, a short. Or it could be my USB-C amp meter that I got from store.rossmangroup.com is defective. Let's face it, we know that's not going to happen. So the real issue here was going to be that there was a short circuit. And it was easy to find the short circuit because the chip on the board started to actually crack, and you could see that it was popping up like this. So we replaced it. And the problem with underfilled chips is that sometimes pads can come off, and sometimes they can be annoying. And as I mentioned in the last video, all the non-connected pads are the ones that tend to come off first because it's... think of it this way, like when you're doing a job and you know there's a certain part of it that nobody's going to look at, like if you're a janitor and there's a room or a closet that nobody ever enters, that you're the only one that has the key to, you're probably not going to spend as much time cleaning it as you would, let's say, the reception area or the lobby or the same thing's true here. Those pads that are not attached to anything tend to be the ones that come off first. And it's very difficult to deal with underfilled chips. And sometimes people use fiberglass pens. People have all different types of underfill picking tools. I'm happy just using my little X-Acto scratching away. When I don't want to scratch away, I will use my hot tweezers and just kind of push it out of the way. And then when it gets nasty, I'll use alcohol and a Q-tip. And then when it gets nasty, I'll use hot air. So a combination of hot air, alcohol Q-tip, knife, and hot tweezer tips to get rid of it. If I do happen to rip something off, we use this Mechanic UVH 900. It's this really cool stuff that it's electrically insulative, and it also keeps something from moving. So I can put that liquid over the wire, and then I use this nice little UV pen, which you shouldn't look at because if you get UV in your eyes, it could be very bad for you. So I just put that in my. Wow, that really fucks with the sensor, doesn't it? Damn. Yeah, so I put this in the on it, and it immediately cures itself, and then I can solder the chip on without worrying that my jumper wires are going to move or short to other jumpers. Here, luckily, all the pads that had issues were outer pads, not inner pads. Because if it's an inner pad, then when you put your jumper, you got to worry that the jumper moves. It shorts this to this to this to this. But when it's an outer pad, jumper can move here to here. It doesn't really matter because there's no more outer pads. So that's it for today. That was our repair. This was done using a CD3215C00 chip that you can source at store.rossmangroup.com. One thing that's important is that if you get a 16-inch MacBook, I can't do this repair. So if your chip just goes poof for no reason, the CD3215 I can get. The CD3217 I can't get. And guess what happens when I reach out to electronic suppliers or even Texas Instruments themselves and say, hey, I'd love to buy some CD3217 so that I can get data back from my customers that have their data stuck in this $5,000 computer, and Apple will not fix it for them unless they pay $1,500, and even then they delete their data. Guess what happens? You know what they tell me? No chip for you. No chip for you. And why do you think that happens? What company do you think told them, don't sell that chip to anybody else? You bet. Apple. Great world we live in these days. So that's one of the reasons that I put so much time and effort into the right to repair lobbying that I do, because this was fixable, but the new one may not be fixable, all because of one stupid chip. You have to keep in mind that these machines here have the solid-state drive soldered onto them. So if I can't fix it, even if you are fine buying a new one, the data's gone. And if your backup is a day or 2 days old, and the most important idea that you had, that chapter to your new book, that video that you just recorded, is on this machine and not on your 2-day-old backup, that's just a big middle finger to you. Because you can't get that data, because that one chip's not available, because one company decided they were going to be a jackass, not sell it to anybody, and tell the company that makes it not to sell it to anybody either. Is that the world we want to be living in? It's not the world I want to be living in. That's why I'm going to be in Oklahoma and Maryland in March, because this is important. It's not something that just affects me. It's not something that simply affects my company. It affects the entire industry. But above all, it affects the users. The users are the ones that get screwed by this policy. At the end of the day, it's not the repair shops that have to care that their data is stuck on this machine. If this person never gets their data back again, it doesn't make much of a difference to me because it's not my data. This is a customer's data. This is a customer of Apple's information that will be stuck on this machine. They'll never get back. It's not something that just affects repair shops. Someday, it may affect you. So think about that. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.